I'm supposed
All right, Danielle, if you can hear us all right, then I
Yep.
guess feel free to kick us off.
All right. Well, it looks, if there's any members of the public that would like to comment, are we having RC play an event request?
So that, yeah, I can provide a quick update, which is simply that I've left voicemails for this student who made the request, and I have not heard back. So I think I'm going to leave it in that student's court. And the conversation last time was inconclusive, but there were arguments on both sides that were reasonable. So it's clearly something that requires some more discussion. And as the committee presented last time, there's more information that uh, could or should be presented so that you can all make an informed decision. So I think tabling that until such time as there's more information and a concrete proposal is the appropriate thing. So if and when I hear, I'll put it back on the agenda.
Sounds
well,
good. All right. Moving along to the minutes of August 14th.
All right.
oh my gosh, hang on a second. Go ahead. Continue. Ben is like bringing Nico to a biathlon race and I just got an email that it's canceled.
Okay, so here are the minutes.
I don't think I'm going to vote since I was absent.
I'll make a motion to approve. Is that what I do?
Yeah,
Yeah,
We only have two people.
I'll second. I think I have to second.
Yeah.
Can we, well, you can vote to approve the minutes even if you weren't here. Didn't we learn that?
Oh,
only if you have like
Read
reviewed
the,
it. Yeah, for example, like if you skim through the recording such that you felt familiar with it.
Mm.
But in this case, like a quorum is present and the abstention would be counted.
as a vote,
Yeah, I mean, it's still
it counts as a, like part of
the
the.
majority, yeah. So I think I can confirm this, but I'll note it as, I mean, assuming that you're gonna vote in favor since you seconded and opposed,
Mhm.
then
all right. So those in
we-
favor.
Well, wait,
Well,
any, are there
yeah,
any,
yeah.
don't we do, are there any discussion?
Oh,
Do we have a discussion? Is there?
No, I just think Robert's rules is like we're supposed to ask.
yeah.
Okay. Now's a good time for discussion.
yeah.
Discussing this. How do we discuss? I think it looks okay. And all in favor for accepting the minutes from August 14th, please say aye.
I
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye. Yay!
Great, I'll record it as 201, one abstention. I believe that passes. If for whatever reason it doesn't, we can re-vote next time and then we're
Yeah.
gonna vote. Great.
Great. Okay. So, what's the updates from the Outdoor Family Center?
Uh, last time we were here, we were just finishing up camps, I believe. And now we have finished them up and we have gone through a review and planning for next year. Really starting with our February rollout of sales and ending with how the camps went this summer. We grew again this year with the numbers and we had a really safe summer overall. So we're feeling very good about the process and it being a key part of the of the organization and the service that we provide to the community. We also finished up our mountain bike and running race series last week. And those also grew this year to at least a 3-year high, if not higher than that. We don't have records that we've found, at least going back any further than that. What's that?
That's wild.
What, that we're at a high?
No, that you don't have, that there's no records.
There are somewhere.
We could probably find them if we dug, but we now have a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
It lists every night.
It's wild that didn't previously exist.
How far back
In
does it
WebScore,
go?
we've been using.
Now it's just 3 years.
We've been using WebScore since COVID, so if you data mined all of the individual WebScore results,
You
they don't
get-
provide an analytics database, but you could go all the way back to 2020.
I wonder if they would give it to you, like, just so you knew.
It's to download each CSV file separate. We'd be downloading like
How was it during COVID though?
I did it. I did the virtual one
Yeah, the
like
virtual.
every week.
Yeah.
I took it really seriously. It like kept me sane.
So that's
I did-
wine habit.
I even did cyclocross back in COVID.
Yeah.
Because I could do it all by myself and not be ashamed.
And
how
just-
slow I am.
I'm just looking to see if they have like an academic API.
And so, we're feeling really good about the progress with the race series and the participation there. Also feels like a key part of our culture and the service we provide to the community. Cyclocross started this week, and we had some help from Green Mountain Cyclocross in designing the course, and also drawing in a world famous Quebecois racer to come and do a clinic last night, and then also I believe she raced, didn't she?
Shoot race.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Magali Rochette, if I'm pronouncing that
Yeah,
correctly.
that's right.
If you want to look her up, she's won world championships.
I think she was third. You might be right. I think she's the only Canadian to have ever won a World Cup, or she was the first. She's very fast.
So continuing a tradition of very high level racers coming to our events and inspiring, all ages of riders. We had masters racers there for a clinic, and we had kids as young as 6, right? How old is that, like?
She's just turned 7, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not really sure what she was doing, was racing. She ate a lot of Magali's candies.
Yes, I did see some bars going down.
Dave apologized afterwards. I was like, it's fine.
And then we have continued to move forward on our planning and permitting. I forget how much detail I went into last time about archaeology, but that's
Pretty decent.
that's a key part of the process now. We have narrowed our wetland stuff down to 4 key areas, as opposed to, we had about 10 originally. And I have sent those off to Tina Heath, who's our District 4 wetlands person, to be reviewed before we submit the permits, because there's a payment function, and also we want to apply for a permit that we can get. So if there are any changes that we need to make to the permit before we apply, and we also want to pay for what we are actually getting and not overpay, and because there is no refund process.
Right.
We haven't heard back from her yet, but that's moving forward. We had another building planning meeting today and discussed the stormwater treatment, which overlaps both the building. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say both. It overlaps the building, the parking lot, and the trails in terms of its functionality and permitting structure. So I've asked them to provide us drawings to present to this committee and to the planning department, because part of it is actually shrinking the existing parking lot a little bit, in order to fit in the stormwater treatment area and keep it out of the wetland buffer, which is just, the large pump track is in the wetland buffer. For the most part, so that's the line, essentially where it goes off the little hillside there is where the wetland buffer starts. So in order to create enough space, and also our planners have looked at the parking lot and determined that it's an odd shape for the number of spots that we have in it. And it encourages poor parking.
Oh, and it encourages like, did I tell you somebody yelled at me once when I was like dropping a child off? Like, cause some people park this way and some people park this way. And on Wednesday night, we always park this way, but I guess like that week at camp, like the convention had. But I just drove in and parked the way I always do, and this dad, like. I was like, I don't know why any human would care this much about this issue, like something else is going on here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
So I agree that it should be standardized.
we can, yeah, and part of it is to define the parking lot a little better. And
I actually think your son was like, she's right, people do park that way.
Oh, really? That's too funny.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god.
By keeping it out, by keeping the stormwater out of the wetlands, the wetland buffer, we are not, we don't need to apply for that part of it, but the exit pipe, the actual like overflow pipe does have to exit into the buffer. And so that's the piece of that part of the puzzle here that needs to be reviewed and approved by Tina. So before we submit that piece of it needs to get looked at. The other three portions of the network that we're looking at that need permits are, we want to add 4 culverts to the elbow trail. We're not allowed to refresh the ditch that is existing there because we waited too long to refresh the ditch that we've been trying to refresh for years. We didn't wait too long, it just took too long. And so we were told we cannot refresh that ditch. So in order to manage the water there, we're proposing 4 new culverts across the trail. And there'll be treatments on both sides of the culverts, on the high side to capture the water, and then on the low side to disperse it slowly. And then balsams, which is part of our first trail project. Actually, both of those are part of the first trail project. And the fourth one is the addition of 2 culverts on Woods Trace, right where balsams crosses it, and just below the Three Rivers Trail.
Yeah.
So that's a high flow area when there's water, and currently it just goes up and over the trail. There's a lot of rock already installed in the trail there. It's called essentially a rock sandwich. But given the amount of flow that can happen there, and to keep the trail in place and not have it overflow into other places, we're requesting 2 culverts there. So those are the only 4 places where we really are involved in wetlands permitting. The rest of the places that we are in wetlands or in vernal pool areas, we either already have gravel in the trails and can continue to add gravel to the trails. We can't change the trails much other than that. Or we are going to use boardwalk. So those are the 2 treatments that we have for the places where we're gonna be in wetlands. Question?
No, same, got it.
Okay.
That makes sense, yeah.
Let's see. We have a couple agenda items that I won't dive into right now. Otherwise, we're doing pretty well. Visitation is not great overall. So that is one challenge that we struggle with. Our ticket revenue and our membership revenue and rentals are down quite a bit this summer. We did have, I know it's hard to remember that we had 35 weekends in a row or something like that of wet weather. But that was a significant impact throughout the summer for us, and never seemed to really recover after that. Currently we are actually experiencing more traffic and more revenue midweek when we're not really open versus when we are open on the weekends. So that doesn't mean that people aren't there, it just means that people you know, who are there are there and enjoying the trails on foot or are current members and not adding to the day membership.
Got it.
I think that covers most of everything that we have done in the last month or so. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. We did get,
Cyclocross started.
I said that.
Oh, you did say?
Yeah, we talked all about Magali and.
Oh, yeah.
We did get a $6,000 grant to help with. The matching funds for the recreational trails program grant that we got, that came from the Northern Forest Center. Partly through us joining the Bike Borderlands group,
Great.
that made that available to us, so. That was a nice little bonus.
Did you just mention the race?
Which race? Sorry.
Saturday, ECC.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, we also,
I needed to redeem myself
thank you.
for like spacing on the second race.
We did host again the UVM Eastern Collegiate Cycling Conference race on Saturday. And despite the rainy weather, it was a big success, and we had I believe 10 different colleges there, and you know, several hundred folks come out to race, and there was a cross-country portion in the morning and then dual slalom in the afternoon. We also hosted a Fun J 4A that day.
Oh, awesome.
And so we got there was actually some Fun J fruiting.
Cool. Ah, that's great.
Awesome. So
Yeah, thanks for that update.
I think that's the best.
Awesome. And welcome, Jean. Great update. Okay, so upcoming events and use requests, are those on the calendar?
Yeah, I'll pull up the calendar. So I mentioned, just to catch Jean up, with regards to the RC plane discussion. I reached out to the student, and left several messages, but didn't hear back. So that question is, tabled, until such time as there is more information presented and or, a concrete proposal for an event. All right.
Dave, it might be, I know we had a little cluster of 3 in a row, so I know these don't come on all the time, but perhaps before the whole committee gets wrapped around the axle trying to decide if we're going to approve something or not, we should have some more formal process for requesting. I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah. And we can, does anyone, why don't we take a minute or two to talk about that idea? Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I mean, we could just have a Google form that is on a website, and we could we could say we consider them on these specific dates. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could, instead of like on a one-off rolling basis. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, I just think how much time we spent talking about it, and if these guys never come back because it's just some guy's whim,
Are we, I'm confused, are we talking on the new use of Catamount or an event request?
The new
use.
Okay, sorry,
The
just
other
we're looking
thing-
at the event list, I'm
right.
trying to get my brain straight.
Yeah, the other thing we could do is like ask for a little tiny bit of writing. Right, like not something onerous, but that would like give the proposer some
Mhm.
skin in the game, because I think Jean's right, like. We spent a long time talking about it, and then they're not here tonight, and it would be cool if
Yeah,
that didn't repeat over and over again.
Yeah,
sure. Well, I will say
It
this
did
is,
seem like they put together a proposal to you.
maybe
They
we just
did,
tell
yeah.
them to come here in person, like if somebody has a use request, like
Yeah.
come here. Like just no like form,
Mhm.
just come here.
Yeah,
I think
anything.
that could be difficult for people that might want to use it.
Mhm.
And a
Uh-huh.
form, at least having them fill out a form and do the paragraph explaining what they want to do does
But when you
have
say
that.
might want to use it, we're talking not about like an event that I wanna come do an event, we're talking about like a net new use, like I would like to
Right.
have flying, drones, like the RC thing, or I would like
Yes.
to I would like to roll bowling balls down the hill. I don't know, whatever they want to do.
Trebuchet, a
Yeah,
trebuchet contest.
Yeah. I guess my thought is I wonder whether the amount of new creative uses that we haven't heard of, requests for that would, warrant the time to sort of develop
Right.
a more detailed process. I don't know, but those are the only three requests. They did kind of come right on a heel, but
Yeah, but
in-
they're also the only three since 2018.
are they?
Right?
Yeah.
Right, well, because most uses were considered 10 years ago in the town plan. And so, or not the town plan, in the
Yeah.
forest management plan.
Not 10 years ago, at least only 7.
Right, so that's true.
Yeah, I guess
Well,
I guess I would just think that I really liked Kim's idea of have them write a proposal. I mean, write a
Yeah,
paragraph, but if they did that, then maybe they were serious. But and I would prefer actually I didn't hear it the first time when they're sitting in front of us, because sometimes
yeah,
that's hard to do when someone's
Mm.
enthusiastically sitting in front of you and you have to say, we got to think about that one,
yeah.
So, but if it's not a problem, it's not a problem. Maybe we just ask you, Dave, to give some extra scrutiny before you bring something forward. Are you sure? Do you really think you're serious, or I don't know, just a thought.
Or
Right.
Maybe not a
it
problem.
doesn't have to be a form, but we could just say,
Right.
you could just say to people, can you send me a paragraph that I can
Mhm.
share with the committee ahead, like at least 48 hours ahead
Yeah,
of
no,
time?
I think that's I think, well, first of all, I think these are all weird ideas. We're just trying to find the balance. I think it is totally reasonable to ask for something in writing. Yeah, I think that's easy. It doesn't, we don't necessarily have to have a distinct form, but I could put that together. It wouldn't take that much extra work. My thought with regards to like how substantial is the request, this request actually seemed the most, more substantial than the metal detecting one. But I guess my thought is with bringing it to the committee, it's, hey, here's a use that hasn't been explored yet for Catamount. It wasn't included in the management plan,
Mm.
and having this discussion now will actually help queue us up for the revision for the plan that's, we're going to start working on in, if not next year, then the year after.
Right.
So I do hear you. I definitely don't want to waste folks' time, but I don't think it's a complete waste of time, even if the idea didn't come to fruition, because we can take what was gleaned from that conversation and help bundle it into the, amended plan when we get there.
Yeah, that's interesting because now I'm thinking about when the next revision of this plan comes, we're gonna have to like approach this again, like not only
Right.
RC planes, but like things that have come up since the plan was written, like the ubiquity of
Weddings.
drones. What?
That's not new,
Weddings.
that was brought up in the beginning,
Wait, what did you say?
part of the easement.
Wedding.
Oh, a wedding.
I'm still smarting about how much time I spent trying to wrestle that to the ground with Hans, and then it never came up again. So
We're happy to talk about it anytime we continue to get requests.
well, we should
So
bring
I
that back
think,
up
like,
again.
The issue that was like the thorniest when we were writing the plan that I got over 100 emails to my personal inbox about was dog.
Dogs.
And you want to know what? I've got them all.
Wow. Yeah, that is,
I think Abby sent me them too. Was Abby background on the?
No, she wasn't.
Somebody did, I don't know, somebody.
She did write something about it for the report form.
Yeah.
I might have shared.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll have to decide things like,
yeah,
is amateur drone usage allowed? Is
Yeah.
professional drone usage allowed? Like, these are all the things that we have to go through, I guess.
yeah.
When do we
So,
do that when do we have to do a revision?
so that revision, I think it is, I
Gotta
think
be 2028.
28, right, is when we would need a new plan.
Mhm.
So we want to be kind of, next year percolating ideas, things like this, but we probably would start writing it, working on it in earnest in 2027.
Uh-huh. Good.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, keep that in mind. I will, yeah, well, that is tabled for now, but I can we can definitely continue that discussion with an eye towards, um putting something in the management plan at another time. We do have, just to bring everyone's attention to the library was one of the groups from the town that wanted to have a bird walk at Catamount in the spring. This is our proposed town events calendar that we look at periodically, but there hasn't been any activity since the spring. And Lori Ledak, the program service librarian, has rescheduled that for Saturday, the 13th, coming up in 2 days. So.
And
I-
they have
that's a
like sandwich board out in front of the library advertising it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Does it say July 13th?
it does say July 13th, and that's wrong.
Oh,
I will change that. It's September 13th. And yeah, so just bringing that to your attention because that's our policy. But it's the same details essentially as before, and Amanda and I have connected, so it's also in the Catamount calendar as required. Okay, that's it for upcoming events.
Well, that looks like it might be fun.
I bet it'll be great.
mm-hmm. Danielle.
All right, beautiful. Moving right along to our 610 discussion items. We're going to
Oh.
finalize the forestry plan, talk about portalets, trail counters, and the parking lot. Okay.
We'll see if we get through all of it. But we'll see. I think forestry plan will probably be pretty straightforward. So we met with Brandon Benedict, the new county forester, several meetings ago now. Their discussion about when would be the appropriate time to plan and execute the final portion of Ethan Tapper's forestry plan. And I wanted to revisit that. And I think if there is a consensus, I think it'd be good to have a motion to, recommend that the select board approve moving forward with that.
Did you want that motion to include the details of delaying the timeline to align with the current, we're not county foresters anymore, regional foresters? Schedule and availability and the trail work happening at Catamount.
Well, that question is up to this committee. But I think
But you want a motion with details like that in it?
I think the motion should recommend the year, right? So for example,
I'm sorry,
if we-
Can I just jump? I'm confused. We don't have I thought this forestry plan has been in place for years. Why are we approving it?
so if we take two steps back,
Please.
sure. We met Brandon Benedict 2 meetings ago during the summer.
Yep.
Brandon talked about the second portion of Ethan Topper's forestry plan, which calls for another harvest or logging event in
Right.
three forest stands. That was originally written to occur in 2026, right?
That's not, yeah.
Next year, which would have required doing the planning this summer and executing next year. Brandon said he's in support of Ethan's plan, but he's not available to do that. He wasn't available to do that work this summer and set up the harvest for 2026. And furthermore, he communicated that it's not strictly necessary to, adhere to that timeline. Deviating by a year or two or three would not make any substantial difference in terms of what's happening in the forest.
Yep, I
So
remember
the
all that.
question,
Yep.
okay, good. So the question is when to resume that work. The way that conversation left off was that the committee was in support of recommending that that work does continue, that the second half of the forest forest management plan is completed. There's no strict requirement to complete that second harvest, but that was the consensus. And the only remaining question is when. So is it gonna happen in 2027, which would mean that planning would occur next summer? Is it gonna be put off further? To make more room for the various projects that are happening at Catamount, such as the trail work.
Okay, so
So
the answer to my first question though is that we're sort of are we approving an amendment to the forestry plan or a change to the forestry plan? Is that what we're actually doing?
in effect,
Okay.
I mean, so the forest management plan is, effectively. Yeah, it is a recommendation, or it included this timeline of when to
Right.
execute on certain components. So yeah, you could think of it that way.
Does the select board have to reapprove it?
I don't think we're actually going to amend the
Yeah.
document, like. It seemed like it was directional, like Ethan
Right.
said, there's no rule that says you have to do any of
Yeah.
this.
Agreed.
You won't go to the forestry jail. So like with that construct, I don't think we're bound to all the details that exist in the document.
Right.
So we don't need to
It's-
revise it because
And it's
we
not
don't
going to
have
blow
to.
up any of our legal partnerships or anything, right? With all of our
No.
partners.
Okay. So maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it doesn't require select board approval.
Well, but this committee should still probably
Yeah.
vote on what we think should happen. And
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm making, maybe this is a motion, but I would suggest that we consider aligning the remaining parts of the plan with Brendan's schedule so that we don't have to hire a consulting forester at their fee, and that he work with John to figure out how to like best optimize the treatments so that they're synergistic with the trail planning.
Yeah. It sounded like from
Perfect.
it sounded like from our conversation that can all happen. So the question is just really when.
At the earliest available date, given the county forester's schedule and the trail planning.
Yeah. I don't know that we can debate tonight. I think it's dependent on those two getting together and.
Could we make a motion that those two people, I'm looking at you because I want you to be like, do not give me this work. If
Yeah.
that's.
No, I mean, this fits with our planning, so.
Yeah.
And we don't wanna, we don't want it to happen around us without being part of it, so.
Like, could I make a motion that like gives the flexibility for them to come back and say, this is when it's gonna work the best, given everything that's happening out there and Brendan's workload elsewhere in the region, or is that not
Yes.
what you're?
Well,
No
that
later
is already
than-
happening by default, right?
Yeah.
This is not moving forward without the, direct involvement and input from John. That was established last time, for sure. And it was agreed that we'd like to move forward with Brendan, so, we're not gonna go hire a consultant.
Yeah,
I do think that it may still be helpful to say we wanna pick a year, so that there's an overall framework for when to move forward, and when it happens in that year is something that would need to be determined by
Well, I
John.
could say something like if
Maybe
summer of 2029, or if not, they have to come back and talk to the committee or something like that. Just sort of if you feel more comfortable having a target date in there, which I don't disagree with. But I hate to say
Well-
28. That seems like we get one shot at it.
We could say not earlier.
or
We could
between
give a date of-
2027 and 2029.
Yeah, I would say we just wanna set like a far end.
Right. Yeah.
But not worry about the.
Not later than.
Not later than.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds reasonable.
So what if it's I make a motion that we proceed with the second half of the forestry plan. Working with Brendan Benedict. At his availability and in collaboration with the executive director of Catamount Outdoor Family Center, such as that the treatments are synergistic to the trail work at a time no later than December 31st, 2029.
I'm so glad there's a transcript.
No joke.
Uh,
That was like, you
yeah.
write all that down? No, that's good.
Got it on
That was
recording.
great. Yeah, that I think
I
that
second that.
is lovely.
Yeah, I would just friendly amendment to make it just what the whatever we're calling
I tried
Brendan rather
so
than having
hard.
his name.
County
Did you
Forester.
guys get that?
Regional forester,
What was your amendment?
the regional, is it regional now? Regional forester instead of Brendan in case he leaves. Right?
Yeah, we don't need to name them. I would just say
Yeah.
the District 4 forest.
Just-
Got it. Okay.
And it
that
seems
is-
like
Districts in the state got them.
I think it would be helpful to have it in like a memo form or an amendment of some way that it's a document on the Catamount Community Forest Management Committee's website so that future members can just maybe just read the document or it can remind us of what we decided.
You could do it. What you could do, I think that's a great idea. You could, if I'm not sure, Dave, why you thought the select board needed to approve it, but you could make it a memo to the select board just as informing them if they did
then
the
it's
forestry
like
plan. I don't
that.
even know if they did.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds like I'm happy to write that up. I was just assuming that the select board would approve because
That's what they do.
yeah, that's what they do.
Hey,
but-
hey, I vote all sorts of things down.
Right, but you have a lot of input, and this is also the committee that decides these things. So maybe, yeah, I'm not basing that on anything, and I could very much be wrong. And you're right. The plan was produced, it was approved, and this is just executing the plan with a change that fits the needs of the forest and its partners. So I think that is reasonable, and everything you proposed, it makes sense.
Can we, so I'm looking at like the page schedule of management activities with years and stands. I guess I'm just interested, as we just voted to do something, that we're clear on which, or maybe we haven't, we're about to. Which, like this is 2 pages long of stuff. Which row are we looking at to recommend happen? Stands 8 to 10? Stand 3, stand 2,
It stands 8 to 10.
it's 8, is that it?
Yes.
Okay. And then, did we do all the ones before that?
Yes. Right. So yeah, all the other stands that was Ethan's primary project. The clearings that exist now was from that round of harvest.
Okay. And so that was 2 and 3.
I believe so. Yeah, I unfortunately don't have that document queued.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Let's see.
No, but you answered my question. So it's the very tail end of this plan. 8 to 10.
Correct.
Yeah, and there's like 3 rows. Investigate potential landing in southwest stand. That was supposed to be this year.
Right.
Although I will say at the top of the schedule, it says timing of specific activities may be shifted. So the document itself gives us permission to change the timing. Yeah, investigate potential landing, make plans to minimize impacts to recreational trail usage. And then do the work. 26, it said. So just add that to the motion, amend the motion. Can we do that? To say that, to be clear, we're talking about the stands 8 to 10.
I make a motion, I suggest we amend the motion to remove the name of the district for forester and also to clarify that we're referring to stands 8 and 10.
I think
All
we
in
should-
favor? Should we quickly should we vote on it while you just said all those words?
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Thank you all. That was very collaborative, and very thorough. So Kim motioned and everyone seconded.
I tried to second it, but then Jean, then
I shouted over you.
Jean, you can give it to Jean.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do feel like in conservation commission, we're like a little competitive, like.
Yeah. Okay, so I just pulled up that document that Hans was referring, just so everyone can see. This is what the plan is referring to, is these items that were slated for 25 and 2026. The 2025 plans were the planning stages, so determining where the landing is going to go, making the plan to minimize the impacts with recreation and trail use. And not listed here are just all the other things that need to occur in order to enable the harvest. That includes hiring the actual contractor who's going to go out there and cut the trees, marking the trees, and all of that. So with this plan, I think it's really reasonable. The next step would simply be for I'll reach out to Brandon and include John and just connect them to have that conversation. And as empowered by you, that they can kind of determine what might make sense,
Mhm.
or at least bring back to the group if there's any sort of open questions that need further discussion.
And the group may need to be the ones that stay on top of it. I would imagine that the forester might not be the one who's remembering in 2028 to look into this.
Right. The forester may not, Brandon may not have an opinion. Brandon may not say, or may say, I'm available whenever, I couldn't do it this last summer because of, my immediate concerns, but I could do 27, 28, or 29. It doesn't matter. So
Yeah,
then we'd be deferring to John to kind of pick the timeline that makes the most sense with the work to be done.
Good.
Okay, let's move on.
Do we have to? Portalets
Okay.
really?
Portalets, let's have toilets. Everyone needs toilets.
Um,
I vote for toilets.
um, just to give everybody sort of an understanding of the porta potty situation at Catamount. The main ones that we have are in the parking lot, and we're required to have at least one on property at all times. We have committed to having ADA accessible porta potties, and not limiting that functionality of them. We also recently changed from P&P to wasted, to be more environmentally sensitive and to work with a local company. The challenge that we have is that they are used not primarily, but extensively by folks who are not using the trails or the center at all. They just pull in, use the bathroom, and leave. Contractors, I mean, sitting in the hub, I watch it all day long. It's pretty funny. We can tell who's there. They will leave their trucks running, hop out, use the bathroom, and leave.
whoa, this is like an underground network of like.
Yeah.
They're all the road workers know where the bathrooms are, and
Oops.
it's closer than trying to run into, one of the, big box stores or something like that. So it's fairly well known as a porta potty spot.
That's amazing.
So we love our community service at Catamount. But it's
And we love our road workers in Vermont. Thank you, road workers. You are
but
critical.
it starts to feel like a little bit of mission creep or sort of beyond what we're supposed to be doing as an organization. To give a little bit of future planning that we've done with regards to this, we're obviously hoping to have indoor plumbing with the building. And that will eliminate some need of that, but we still feel like we're gonna have to have a porta potty outside in general, for times when the building's closed, and just for overflow. But we will have the porta potties stationed at the building and sort of in an enclosure, so they won't be quite as visible, and you won't be able to pull a truck right up to them, like you can now. So we're thinking ahead already about how to manage this, but wondering whether there is some level of support for those because of the amount of people that use them who are not really there for the trails.
Is it, I don't mean this to be like crass, but like it must be costing you more money because you're like needing them to be cleaned more,
More,
toilet
yes.
paper and,
Yes.
yeah.
And that impacts, and we get complaints from, camper parents or kids or racers, when they show up and everything's,
Yeah, used up.
used up or, and then we have to call for the extra cleaning so that there's a snowball effect that happens, with the extra use. And, to further that, this discussion, the parking lot itself is also used fairly extensively by people who are not there to use the trails. They'll come and park there and go for walks on Governor Chittenden, which we're happy to support this, but it's not, a use that is of the forest that, the parking lot is for. And, it can take up spaces at key times and so, we're just trying to figure out a way to keep track of all this stuff and not let it overwhelm our tiny little nonprofit that doesn't have huge revenue. That also leads into a discussion about the maintenance of the parking lot, which is owned by the town. And it is at a point where it does need work, but we also have to plan around the stormwater treatment that we're gonna hopefully do in the next couple of years. And don't want to invest a ton of money in resurfacing a parking lot that we're going to shrink and change and work on in a relatively short period. So those are three overlapping items that we wanted to discuss.
When sometimes there's a porta potty on the other side of the road, is that just for races? Does Ben just get that for GMCX? Do you like how I don't know? I'm like, does my husband just get those?
We do those for camps and we do them for races, especially when, races are on the other side of the road. And then we just keep them for, cyclocross season. And then that one goes away at the end of cyclocross
Does
season.
that get?
That gets almost no use compared to the ones in the parking lot. Because, people would have to park, walk across the road, walk down the path. So the proximity does matter.
Yeah.
The location matters.
So I'm wondering, like, there seems like one solution is to not have them in the parking lot, which might discourage use. Or the other is like for the town to recognize that there's like a public service being provided and to like.
We've discussed trying to put them like, behind the hub. But the challenge with that is that trucks the wasted truck needs to be able to pull up to it.
Yeah.
And where we would station it on the new building would be along the access drive that we have to the machine and service shop in the building. So there would be a driveway, but it would not be the public driveway. It would just be the private thing, and that would be the way that we could, allow the wasted truck to get into it. But if we put it anywhere else now, we would restrict access, and then they'd be driving across grass.
Right.
So I promised myself I would not get involved in the portalet discussion tonight. But
And you're talking.
I know, this happens to me all the time. Do we have portalets at the village community park there behind the school?
Yes.
Yes, there's bathrooms there. There's
Which are
bathrooms
locked.
there. But
Yeah,
when
there's people with students.
there's usually portalets there in the winter time. There was just a short period of time when there wasn't a bathroom facility.
I think it was even open during COVID, wasn't it? They were there during COVID even.
Oh, it was especially during COVID. We all kind of threw them out, extra ones out during COVID. But I was just wondering, this can't be the only situation where we have this problem in town. Um, if Parks and
But there
Rec are
aren't,
paying,
Burlington waterfront comes to
yeah.
mind. I know it's not Williston, but
no, I am talking Williston, really. It's because it's kind of a question of like, do you shut them down? Do you lock them when the park is closed? Do you, or do you just accept them? But who pays for the one in the community park because they should also be paying for the one at up here?
I think Parks and Rec maintains the facilities, including the portalettes at Village Community Park.
Danielle.
In conjunction with the Public Works, I believe.
Yeah, oh yeah, right, it could be that. I think the difference at Parks and Rec does not have anything to do with the country parks. And Catamount is town forest. So we don't have strict definitions for all of those different categories of
Nor does anyone.
of public space, but it is traditionally been bifurcated in terms of like, okay, this is a Parks and Rec thing, or this is a natural area that is being kind of overseen by the Town Forest Committee, Conservation Commission, Planning and Zoning, whatever other departments involved. So that's not to
We'll
say
come-
that. Oh,
Yeah,
I was just
I want to come back to the parking lot, but on the portalets, I kind of feel like if Parks and Recs have a portalet on the county park, on the town park, and they pay for it all the time, then it makes sense for us to pay for the one at Catamount. I mean, that just kind of makes at the forest. That kind of makes sense. Seems like a parallelism.
Yeah, I agree. Would you
So
be
I don't know what an
willing
extra,
to
split at 50-50 or what, but I don't know, whatever.
maybe John could send a budget of what it's costing and we could consider a breakdown that we could share?
Yeah, we switched to wasted a few months ago, so we have at least an understanding of what that costs now.
right.
and is it, I'm not thinking through all this, I'm just suggesting another logical option. I don't know who the town uses for the Wilson portalets, but do they wanna put it on that contract? That would
Yeah,
be
and
more direct.
just directly.
Like maybe
be in
the
the
town
same-
gets a better price, I don't, then
Right.
you don't have to be like submitting receipts to get reimbursed. Like if the town is gonna take care of it, just put it on their portalet contract and it gets taken care of, I guess.
Although you would wanna be able to call and say,
We need cleaning.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so what I can do is I can get some more information on that end. I can talk to folks in my department. I can talk to Parks and Rec, and I can talk to Public Works, just get a sense of how the management on those works. And then, yeah, I don't know if John, if you want to, provide that information on how much it's costing, and then I think the question that it sounds like to me, just summarizing what I'm hearing, that there is support for this idea of recognizing this is a public service and it's reasonable for the town to contribute. And so then I guess the question would be, I'm hearing that there's potentially an argument for just saying, let the town take care of it. It's a, town forest, a portalet at a well-used town forest with a large parking capacity. And then there's also it could be a cost share, it could be 50-50 or something along those lines. So that's what I'm hearing. So it sounds like we'll gather some more information and bring this back to finish the conversation next time. Does that sound reasonable?
It does sound reasonable. A bit of context, I'm adding context to all these discussions on the tail end. Is it the license agreement that requires a portalet or where? I was just skimming the license agreement. Like, I guess I didn't know. I mean, it's good to have a portalet. I don't think we should remove it.
We need to, I'm not sure. Amanda said she couldn't remember whether it was in the license agreement or whether it was in the lease agreement with the McCulloughs. But regardless, we
it's in there
can't,
somewhere.
we can't
Yeah.
live
Yeah, my question doesn't change the outcome of the discussion. I just was trying to just for context. So I'm fine with the
I
conclusion of the discussion.
I guess I'm a little bit hesitant to say the town would take over the full pay for the portalets because they're
No, we're
probably
not.
used.
Yeah, I
Okay.
wouldn't ask that either, I don't think, because, we supplement the single one that we're required to have with other ones for events that we're doing, and certainly the one that lives across the street is really, that's a camp and race one and doesn't get abused the way that the ones in the parking lot do. So, when we do our accounting to share with you all, we'll limit it to what we're talking about and not the other pieces of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Jean, you're on mute
We'll just
talking
need to put
again.
those trail counters out in front of the toilets.
I was gonna make a joke about a visitor use survey.
That's not a bad place to put a trail count.
I have
I
some
had to
bad.
I had to put myself on mute because a motorboat went by. I'm at my lake house.
Oh.
It was noisy. Um, no, I just also I know you wouldn't do this, John, but I really want to make sure that I like your longer term solution, and that needs to stay in place. It can't be like, well, now we don't have to do it because the town's paying for the
Oh, no,
porta.
no, we don't want to, the visual aspect of having a porta potty, without an enclosure in the parking lot isn't good, and it essentially, it does take up spots in the parking lot too, because nobody wants to really park in front of the porta potties either, so. It's a minor addition to the building, it's like just
Yeah.
a shed, extension, so we're committed to doing that for lots of reasons.
Right. So on the parking lot, I had this discussion with your predecessor, Dave, because they wanted to put a bunch of money in the budget for improving the parking lot. And I'm like, why is this the only committee in town or the only organization in town that's responsible for its own parking lot? I can tell you for a fact, Parks and Rec does not have parking lot maintenance in their budget. Um, Certainly none of the other trailheads, are expected to did they expect us to go out and bid on parking lot improvements? I mean, why isn't Parks and Rec, I think that our public works should be dealing with the parking lot. And I feel pretty strongly about that. And I looked all over and I cannot, I'm sure I was told that Public Works agreed to that. And I'm struggling to find it. I'm thinking they might have said that at a budget meeting as opposed to putting it, having it in an email or something. But
I think they agreed to take responsibility for it.
yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
I just can't prove it.
Right. No, thank you for that. Thank you for that context, Gene. I think a meeting of with town departments to talk about this issues would probably be helpful in clarifying some things.
I have this vague memory of this being like a pre-management plan conversation between the town and the McCulloughs about like who's gonna maintain it versus plow it. And like, I wonder if Melinda can remember why, like, I don't know if it's relevant, maybe it doesn't matter why it ended up this way, but it might be connected to that. I don't even know if it's like, maybe we don't look at it at all and we just look forward and say we want Public Works to do it, but for whatever history, I think there was like a back and forth that had to do with like plowing versus all other maintenance.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. It's not just like who's going to pay for it, but who's going to make it happen.
Yeah,
Right. Exactly.
yeah.
Right. It's a lot of work to bid it out and all that.
Yeah, we don't have the expertise. And Dave, it's not your expertise, really. It's, Public Works.
That's true. Okay. Well, I appreciate that, Gene.
They can add to their Public Works website that they maintain the parking lot at Catamount, because right now Catamount's not listed on their parks and trails maintained. To get it, wait, who controls the website?
Town website?
Yeah, just get them to update the webpage and be like, Bruce, come
Oh,
on.
right.
Here it is.
For them. Yeah.
It says on the website that you do it.
If it's on the internet, it must be true.
That's how that went.
I would guess that somebody from Public Works maintains the Public Works pages. Yeah.
Shoot.
I can just put it on, conservation page.
You wear lots of hats. I thought maybe the web.
Right, I do wear lots of hats, yeah. Part-time web developer.
Unfortunately, the owl hurt us and.
Yeah.
Can't be sneaky anymore.
Okay.
Okay, great. Any other comments on the portalets or parking lot? I think the homework is clear for me, at least.
And we will have drawings to show the changes we're proposing to the parking lot very soon to share with everybody.
Okay.
But in the meantime, you're just looking at fill or, gravel or something like that, right?
Yeah, gravel, but I mean, really, it does need some drainage work, and if we're gonna define parking a little more, we have to have a design for that too, so that it does make sense and that we're not challenging the plow process either. So there's a lot of little factors that we gotta consider and we make right before we do any real work. We don't want to just throw
Very
gravel down.
complicated. I think a very
I'm
complicated
sorry.
job, John.
I try to simplify things, but this one isn't easy.
Yeah, just some little. I thought you took this job just to run some little cute little nonprofit bike place, and all of a sudden,
I wasn't that naive.
the trail counter is going to be easier.
No, Chandra, this is gonna be really sad. Hang on, I'm gonna join Zoom on my computer so that I can share my screen. I apologize if there's like feedback for a second. I'm gonna mute myself and not have my sound on my computer, so hopefully that will. Okay. I think I'm in, right? Oh no, you have to admit me. And then
Admit,
are you able to give me permission to share screen?
I sure am.
Cool. Amazing. Okay, so here's the sad news, folks. The company that most of people in my field use to purchase trail counters is no longer shipping to the United States.
Is that a temporary potential thing? Like in maybe like 3 years, it'll change?
I think that's possible. It's a super bummer for like anyone who's in the business of doing research about trails. So like, professionally for me, it's a bummer. The company is in Alberta. So, and I have
I might have to go skiing in Alberta.
Right.
I was going to say,
so
I think I could go there.
it's in Canmore. So we are like, I had a colleague in BC be like, oh, you just gotta make an address. Like this is what Canadians have been doing for years. We like make an address with this company. She sent me a link over the border in Quebec, and then like you just drive and get it. And I was like, yes, but the customs, right? Like, so we're like this is affecting a whole bunch of academics, and we're all talking about how to handle it. There are other trail counter companies. I think the one that I had shared with you, that this company is the best. And also they, like many of us have invested in like learning their software. So I will say like we could buy trail counters from a different company and just relearn like how these things work. Like how the back end software works. The other thing that I have been doing the last few years, and I like there's some advantage to this, especially in a place like Catamount, is using user generated data. So that's like it's mostly Strava, but you can do it with other organizations or other companies as well. And I'm just gonna like, if I can make share screen work here. They're open, like, it's not what I want though. I want my Chrome tabs. Here we go. So everyone should be able to see this now. Well, I guess it's gonna take a second. Okay, so Strava is an application that people can have on their athletic tracking devices. So like a watch, or you can have the app on your phone or on your bike computer. And a ton of people use it, like millions and millions of people. use it, and it's very popular among runners and cyclists. It's very popular in the northeast of the United States and in southern Quebec. It's less popular out west. Some apps are more popular in other places. Like I don't know why Strava has not caught on in Western Canada for some reason. But it's very popular here, and it's super popular among the activities that happen at Catamount. Less so Nordic skiing. And it's growing among commuters and like delivery folks as well, but primarily used by like recreational walkers, runners, cyclists, etc. Essentially what you do is apply to work with Strava Metro. You're supposed to have a university partner and a community partner, and they provide you with data at the level that you're requesting. So when I've done it in the past, I've gotten it at county level data. And then you get a CSV file, but you also get geospatial files. So the advantage of this is that you're getting data that is actually more robust than a trail counter. So just to like give you an example, Kingdom Trails had some questions about like where they were having the highest level of use on their trails, where cyclists might be on the road at times where it would be like there'd also be a lot of vehicles on the road when they were having like the highest concentration of people. And so we were able to get this data from Strava. This is like every person that ever rode their bike at Kingdom Trails and recorded a Strava ride from 2019 to the beginning of 2019 to the end of 2022. And you see like where there are hot spots, and you can do this by like try to make it a little bigger. Like you can do it by time of day. In this case, shoot, we were doing it by like they wanted kind of like seasonality. Oh my gosh, I can't drive my own computer over here. But you get like a pretty good idea of like where the hotspots are, and that can allow them to concentrate, where they might do work. We also can overlay things like vehicle data. So this allowed them to say, oh, we really need bike lanes in these key areas of the village, and they could take that to the select board and then demonstrate that there's like a high vehicular concentration at the same points that there are a lot of cyclists on the road. It's also beneficial in kind of like spaghetti networks like Kingdom Trails or like Catamount, where there's lots of entry points. So instead of having to guess about where trail counters would go, we just get everything. They had trail counters put out on a number of trails ahead of us getting the Strava data. And so just to give you a sense, like they can have trail counters on 4 or 5 trails, right? And they're getting like a rough estimate of who's out there. We can have it on the entire trail network. And then we were able to correlate and like get a sense of like, okay, how close was the Strava data to the actual raw count of the trail counts? The long and short of it is like, the more spaghetti it is, the worse the Strava data is. Does that make sense? So that if there's 2 trails really close to each other, the GPS can't distinguish between a rider on this trail and a rider on the very close trail, and so it double counts. And it's really hard on the back end for a researcher to parse that out. So you do get a slight overcount when it's super, super close. And I think you would get it on trails close to the road. Like I think people bisecting the trail network on their bike and recording a road would count as, I don't know, balsams, right? Like it's probably,
That close?
yeah.
Or I'm sorry, that far.
Maybe it might not be that bad, but like you can see like these are the buffers that we tried to say like, okay, well, what if we make a 2-meter buffer? Like, does that narrow it enough? So there's like some fine tuning
So
that
when we're talking, if we set up the Strava segments to not begin until they're like the other side of the parking lot.
it's
Right?
just gonna give you a heat map of all existing segments. And then
Oh, so
somebody,
we can't edit segments?
you can edit them, but when
Okay.
it gives it to you raw, you're just gonna get a heat map, and every single segment is gonna be like a number code and then a count. And so like you really need somebody on the back end to like clean it up. Like ideally you'd have like one of my graduate students that would clean everything up. And then like that's what happened to your graduate student. Like wrote the nice thing is like we have this code already written, so like it could go faster. Um, but yeah, you could click on and off certain segments. And you could predetermine, like I only care about these, I've created these ones, right? Like I went out and rode my bike and I renamed these and then we called it something and we could just click off everything else. So this might be, I think this is maybe a better option until trail counters are back online. The other thing is that like I already have plans to have a student crew doing trail counter stuff next summer at 5 locations around the Northeast and the upper Midwest around mountain biking. And I've been talking with John and my collaborators about having that crew at Catamount as one of the locations for, you know, a set number of weeks. So we can also get like the traditional, like the old school, I sit at the trailhead and I'm like with a clipboard and a piece of paper and I'm marking people and periodically I'm like, do you have a moment to talk about our Lord Savior mountain biking and like ask people why they're, you know what I mean? Like the whole like, and people do stop and talk to students. There's also the ability to use, there's new technology that pulls data from people's cell phones when they pass. This is becoming really popular in the National Park Service where you essentially you have a sensor at a like some major point. So maybe it would be the hub and every single person who passes, as long as they have a cell phone in their pocket, you're getting like some data about them depending on what you're willing to pay for. Like if you have visited Acadia in the last couple years,
Oh my
that
God.
this
Whoa.
will happen to you. And you can get zip codes and yeah, I mean it's
Bank account info, whatever you want.
Yeah, social security numbers.
yeah.
Wow, I feel it's dystopian.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
I mean, there are some
Speak to the owl.
there are some
Yeah.
flaws in it, right? Because like if you are like my college child and you're still on my cell phone plan and it's pulling zip code data and like that person came from Utah or whatever, but like actually they're at school at Bates and they went to Acadia. It looks like someone visited from Utah, but actually they
Right.
just came from Lewiston. So that's not perfect. The other thing people use is cameras. So those are all like could go to a different trail counter company. I don't know how fast I will get up to speed with using like the software that goes with the different trail counters, or if I will have colleagues that are like, oh, I can fill in on this. This is like a good proxy, I think, especially Strava for spaghetti network things where like we would have to put the trail counters and we'd need a lot, right, to capture all the entry points for Catamount. We probably need like, I don't know. What do you
What do you
think?
3, 4 main ones. On the,
Well, there's like other sneaky ways in.
Yeah, I wouldn't like stress about like the top of the field on Goose Hill where the people are coming in from the houses.
This is my neighborhood.
What's that?
Like from my neighborhood.
Is that where you?
Well, people from our neighborhood like walk across the golf course and go in through Talcott.
I got really overgrown after they moved there.
I'm thinking more like obviously the hub,
Yeah,
um,
the road.
the cabin run. And then the other side of the road going into the south side network. And then, yes, the actual road along McCullough's house there is,
Mhm.
those are the main ones, but. You know, how would you get folks from the hub, because maybe they didn't come in by the
Yeah.
hub, but they came in by the sheep barn.
Right.
So that I would say, you know, you'd wanna have like 3 at the trailhead, so you have one at Woods Trace, one at Elbow,
Yeah.
and one at Night.
Right.
And then that would cover that whole area. You couldn't get into the network without. But if you were just there to use the pump track,
Then you
That-
would be counted.
Right.
Right. So you would get you would get an addition to a count. And like we could do a thing where we're like, okay, well, we're gonna have students sit out there for like these hours for this week, and that's like your highest week, and then we're gonna correlate their counts with Strava and like adjust all of the Strava numbers accordingly. You would also get hotspots, which might be useful, right? Like you would know like where are your most used trails, and then you would be able to think about trail planning in that way. And you would also get like a pretty, you can, like we requested it, we backdated this, like I think we applied for this in like 2021 maybe, and we were like, can we have the year before COVID, because we wanted to like see what happened to Kingdom Trails during COVID, and then if there was a bounce back. And so, and then we ended up getting a 5th year. Also, we have another paper coming out that's a 5-year look at like, did it recover after COVID? So you could potentially get historical, like, is there growth? And then they'll give it for walk, for pedestrian as well.
Well, I don't
Okay.
necessarily I don't have a vote, but to the question of should the committee have Kim do a professional research project that includes getting Strava data with no downside
Yeah.
for free?
I mean, I can apply, like, we'll see, like, we'll see what they say.
Yeah, I agree. And there's lots of upside too, because
Yeah.
this is our community resource. And for UVM to be able to use it, feels like
Yeah.
a really good, a really good use of the forest.
Yeah, I
For
mean
the community.
that's part and parcel of the mission of this forest is to foster collaborations with institutions like UVM for research.
Yeah, I think
I-
my only thought, and not that I disagree with free research, the word free always gets my attention. Are we trying to figure out who and how many people are using the forest, or are we trying to figure out which mountain bike trails are getting used? And the reason I ask that question is I don't have Strava on my phone.
Yeah, it's a good,
That much, but
this is an important question.
yeah.
So the paper that I said where uses all 5 years of data, it looks at this issue, and there is a huge issue of equity and who it captures, right? It skews largely young white men. So it's not going to be representative of all recreationists, and that definitely has to come into the conversation, right? Because there are a lot of examples. Strava has been used pretty widely in city planning, in urban planning for like a while. I think Emily's paper that I just showed you was like the first rural rec planning paper. But there has been this huge critique of like, okay, you're planning bike lanes now using this data that's heavily dominated by young white men, and like, what does that mean in terms of mobility justice? We can't see really great demographic data when they give us the data, because they batch it to protect people's anonymity. So won't have a great sense of like who's this capturing and who's it not capturing, other than ages. So I would be able to say like, okay, it's like we can see in Burke that that there's an increase in riders over 65. But I can't see like are those brown people? Are they people from away? Are they like, do you know what I mean? Like I can't get any.
But you do get age, it sounds like?
Just age, yeah. And I can't, and they also, this probably goes without saying, don't supply any of the health data that's collected, like your heart rate or any of that stuff. So there is an equity issue in using.
Yeah, and I guess I would just from wearing this hat for this committee, cool. Do it. I don't see how this kind of data is helping this committee, if that makes sense.
That's my
I
question
think
as well.
you would get an idea of how many people are using the forest, right? Like
That
you would
ride
get,
bikes and have Strava.
but then we could, what I'm saying
Or
is,
run and have Strava.
or run and have Strava, and then we could correlate it with like we could have
Yeah.
students sit out there a
Yeah.
couple key days and count the actual number of people, and then correlate it and then adjust all the rest of the Strava data. Like we basically get like a correction factor. So you'd have an
What would you do
estimate.
with the information?
What?
Well, so I think going back to like Daniel, like I think one of the origins of trail counters was the discussion on like people don't sign in when they visit the forest, and we wanted to have more accurate numbers of how many people visit the forest. I think that was one of the starting points of asking for trail counters.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
that I would
other
find
thing is
interesting.
relevance. Like many parks or protected areas wanna know like how relevant they are to their community,
Yeah.
right? Like. What
And we
level of-
decided our sign-in form wasn't really doing it. And the trail counters would, capture those numbers much better for the town, for the annual, not just for the annual report,
Right.
but for significance of that number.
Mhm.
And it sounded like that was gonna be my question. I thought like you bridged the connection between like the Strava study, and it could actually help us get better numbers like that with the correction factor. So it's not just research. I mean, and then it could also help with trail planning. I mean, it could help with so
Yeah.
many things.
For the record, there's actually not like an interesting research question in this for me, like.
It's busy work for your students.
It's cool training for a student. The reason that I have like a trail counter crew, happening over the summer is like part of a bigger thing that I think there is an interesting research question in. But I don't know, one count of Catamount does not necessarily a paper make. So if people aren't interested in it, like if we don't think it would be useful for this group, then I don't have to do it. But if we want to have an idea of like how many folks are using Catamount, what are the times of year that are, or even the times of day that are like, I don't know, the most concentration, the most users, what parts of the trail network are getting like the heaviest use. Like a thing that could be cool is to be like, okay, is there a heavy use in the deer wintering areas? Like, should we be worrying about that as like a management objective? We probably can't answer that because there wouldn't be great Nordic ski data.
Well, we have biologist data from that.
There you go.
So, and he was not concerned because there is extensive evidence of deer use in that area, regardless of how many people are in there. And he felt that it was that they had adjusted to the use and were happy to continue to share.
Yeah. So
I thought we had pivoted to being more concerned about the plants than the deer anyway.
Yeah, nobody cares about deer
We
anymore.
need to hunt. I would love to have better data than our sign-in form for how many people visit the forest. So I would say that if you can,
Which hat is
if
that,
that can be one of
Hans?
the outcomes.
Is that your outdoor family center hat or your?
No, that's my forest annual report hat. Like we're a community. No, I think that's a CCF hat. Like we want to know how many people are using the forest.
Because I feel like we have that every time I go to Catamount, I fill out the daily use chart, and it makes
And
me laugh
you
because I feel
You're
like
the only, you're
never
the only
heard.
one on it. It's just Danielle, 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 Danielle.
know.
Nobody else signs in.
But
You're
in
the
that,
only
like
one.
we've
I don't
never
even know where
talked
it
about
is
it
and I go there every
in
day.
8 years.
You have to
So
sign in
I-
before you can use the porta potty.
I was hoping I could just walk in with my phone and go,
Yeah.
beep, and then like you could collect my data, so.
So I would just say, yeah, I know the trail counters thing has been on the back burner for since well before I was here. If the reasons why that conversation initially started no longer feel as relevant, I still think that, the timing of this could only be beneficial. And I'm thinking again towards 2028, we need to redo the management plan. So I do see this as if, gathering this data now could only help us
Yeah.
when it comes time to talk through all the different use aspects of the town forest and revise that plan.
I mean,
And
the
I-
other thing, go ahead, Jane.
I was just gonna say I wouldn't say it's not relevant. I think it's super relevant. I still really like the idea of the trail counters because it'll capture everybody who walks past the trail counter. But given that that's not a solid option right now, I think having even if we just consider sort of a baseline, and so it becomes relevant or helpful in a couple of years when we make changes. Did that help? Did it hurt? Is there, are we seeing increased or decreased usage? Lots of reasons why it would be helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just apply and like,
Okay. Go from there.
yeah, I don't think I think they'll say it.
Yeah, and maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle, like if we can get access to one trail camera or something, just to have another data point. Or maybe if that's not, if the students sitting there,
Well, we
doing
can
direct
definitely do
counts
that. Yeah,
can serve that same function.
yeah.
Okay, well, I'm looking at time here, it's 7:02. We got through a lot. That was a lot of substantial discussion, so thank you all for your attention and yeah.
It was so busy, we didn't even have a time for an existential crisis of why does this committee exist?
I think that's
No,
next meeting.
That's next meeting.
I have data for that meeting too.
Okay.
I have how 111 towns in Vermont manage their town forest, like what's their governance structure.
Oh my gosh. Wow, I can't wait for
That
this.
meeting.
All right, existential crises next month. Appreciate you all.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So move. Second.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. See you next month.
Bye.
Thank you.